to share with you 5 questions that you can ask yourself to help you discover your gifts. That's right, 5 questions to help you finally discover your gift. I'm excited about this topic because this topic is true for me. Because when I discovered my gift, that's when I began to change my life. That's when things started to happen for me. So I'm going to share with you that message real quickly. Now, before I go into the rest of this, I want to start off by defining what a gift is. People are sometimes confused about the word gift. The word gift, biblically speaking, comes from the word charisma. All it simply means, it's a gift of grace. In other words, it's God's given power, ability, or talent. So I'm going to say that again. A gift is a God-given power, ability, or talent. Okay, I love the way Steve Harvey says it. It's the what you do best with the least amount of effort. It's what you do best with the least amount of effort. So it's important for you to discover what your gift is, because that's your power, that's your ability, that is your talent to make a difference in the world. Some people may ask, Sam, why is it so important for me to actually do my gift? Why is it so important for me to use my gift or discover my gift? It's important, number one, because your gift is what God has called you to use to make an impact in the world. Most people are looking for their calling, their destiny, or their purpose. And what most people don't realize is that the key to discovering their calling or purpose is to discover their gift. Because what they've been called to do is what they've been gifted to do. So if you're wondering today, Sam, I don't know what my calling is. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life. Then I will say to you, start with your gift. So that being said, let us go into the 5 questions that you want to ask yourself to finally help you locate your gift. So question number 1 is this: what are you good at doing and enjoy doing at the same time? So it's not just what you're good at doing. Here's the question. It's what are you good at doing and enjoy doing at the same time? Some people are under the assumption that because they're good at something, that means that's their gift. And the truth of the matter is you could have practiced something so much that you become so good at it, but at the same time, it's not your gift. It's just a learned skill. And how do you know the difference? Well, see, when you use your gift, it energizes you. It energizes you. It strengthens you. You feel like you want to use it again. But when you're using a skill, a learned skill, sometimes you're good at something that you hate doing. So that's the difference. So just because you're good at something doesn't mean that is your gift. It has to qualify by these 2 things. You're good at it and you enjoy using it at the same time. Now that could be anything. You could be good at cooking and enjoy cooking. That could be teaching. That could be listening to other people share their stories with you. That could be empathizing with people with you. That could be using your hands. Maybe you're good at building things. Maybe you're good at fixing things. Maybe you're good at organizing or mediating problems. All those things that you're good at doing and that you enjoy doing at the same time, that is what we call your gift. So that's the first question you want to ask yourself if you're trying to figure out what your gift is. I'll never forget it. I was about to start college. My dad said to me, son, what do you want to do with your life? I said to him, Dad, I want to become an accountant. And I simply said that because, my brother had told my dad, hey, I want to become an engineer. And my dad was, proud of him because my dad is an engineer himself. And he was proud of him. And he was like, yeah, And then my time came. And I honestly, if I'm honest with you, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. But I told him I want to become an accountant because, they dressed up. I thought they handled money. So as a college student, I thought they were making money. I know better now. But anyway, I told him that. And so he just looked at me with the proud eyes of a father. And I think he didn't say much, but I think he was saying, you go, boy. So I went to college, thinking to myself, man, I'm finally going to do something with my life. I go to college. I'm doing well at school, and I'm doing well until I take 2 accounting classes when I figured out you are in the wrong profession. I hated those classes. Are you hearing me? I hated them. But I had chosen that path. Now, while I was going through this process, and I hated it so much that I remember staying up to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, that's not uncommon for a student to stay up to 4 o'clock in the morning. But when you stay up to 4 o'clock in the morning trying to work on something and you still don't get it, How many people know there's something wrong? And there was something wrong there for me. So here's what I did. I was just kind of struggling in class, struggling in school, not figuring things out. And I remember I was put in a speech class. It's a class that everybody had to take. And so if you know anything about speech, it's probably one of the most dreaded classes on campus. Number one, because most people are afraid of public speaking. In fact, some people rather die than to speak in public. So here I am. I'm in a public speaking class at the same time, and I'm in the accounting class. I was sitting in the back of the room. I was a shy, skinny kid with a funny last name. And I'll never forget my professor. Her name was Dr. Liv Fitzgerald. And she looked at me and she said, "Sam, it's your turn to speak." I was like, man, you don't have to say it like that. And so I go up in front of the class, and I speak. And after I speak, I go sit down. And after class, and as I'm sitting there, she says, "Sam, I want to see you after class." I was like, oh, snap. I'm in trouble now. After class, I walked up to her. I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she looked at me and she said, "Sam, what do you want to do with your life?" I said, "I want to become an accountant." She said, "You are in the wrong profession." I was like, no, she didn't. And then she said, "Sam, you have a presence in front of the room. In other words, Sam, you have a gift to speak." And she said, "You ought to do that for a living." And at that moment, she changed my life. She changed my life. It's been said, the two greatest days in your life is the day that you were born and the day that you discover why. That's how I was able to figure my gift. Why? Because it's what I was good at, and I was natural. And when I look back on my life before she said that to me, it's kind of what I did naturally. I usually was able to speak well, and usually I had a group around me, and I would, tell stories and share with them and things like that. And so she was just confirming my gift. And that's one way to know what your gift is, because you will hear from people consistently, people in your life that see you, and they'll compliment you on doing that well. They'll say, "Man, you're really good at that." They'll say, "Man, you're a natural at that." What is that saying to you? That is saying that's your gift. But for some of us, we reject those things because, for it comes so natural to us. It comes so natural to us so we don't really value those things. Which brings me to the second way, to the second question you want to ask yourself. The second question you want to ask yourself is this: what flows out of me naturally? What flows out of you naturally? What comes out of you naturally? Are you naturally good at math? Are you naturally good at, understanding where people are coming from? Are you naturally good at mediating things? That means you didn't have to go to school for it. Nobody had to teach you. You didn't go to college. You just kind of figure things out. You have a knack for solving problems or fixing things or tinkering with things. You just have that natural knack to do that. My brother, when we were younger, he would play with his cars. And he had a natural knack to take things apart and try to look at what's in it and try to put it all back together. What I didn't know, even though we thought he was destructive at the time because he was destroying a whole bunch of cars, I didn't know, though, that he was actually expressing his natural talent of engineering. And so now he's an engineer, which obviously has to do with taking things apart and putting things back together. And so that's another way to figure out your gift. It's what flows out of you naturally. I mean, it comes natural and innate to you. You didn't have to learn it. You didn't have to go to school for it. You just do it. And question number three, what activity do you have an inner drive to do? Okay? What I mean by that is you have an inner motivation to do this. It almost drives you. So my gift, as my teacher said, was basically teaching. And my estimate of teaching, when I say teaching, the way teaching flows for me is I have the ability to synthesize information, study information, synthesize it, which means put it all together, and then simplify it and share it with people in such a way that people act on what I share with them. It motivates people to action. And so I know that that's my gift, and it flows naturally out of me. It's something that I'm good at doing and enjoy doing. And thirdly, it's an inner drive. So you'll find me on my downtime studying and reading and listening to podcasts and listening to all kinds of information. Why? Because in my head, I'm synthesizing information. Why? Because I'm trying to put it together, simplify it, and share it with people so that people's lives are better for having heard me. And that's what your gift is. And so that's a third thing that you want to look at. What's your gift? It's a thing that you're driven to do. You have a drive to do it. My wife, God bless her heart, she has a gift of organizing. She has other gifts, but one of her strongest gifts is organizing. She comes in a room and she wants to put things together, whether that's in a business, whether that's in somebody's life, or whether that's in the home. And so oftentimes I'll come home and see that she's in distress because maybe the kids have messed up the place, or for to be honest, maybe I have messed up the place. I don't have the gift of organizing. I've tried. I don't have that gift, but she does. And so for her, she is driven to put things together, to organize it, for this thing to be over here, and this place, there's a right place for this, and there's a right place for that. And she'll stay sometimes up to 2, 3 o'clock, and she's vacuuming. And I'm like, babe, what are you doing? Go to sleep. But she won't, because she's driven. It's an inner motivation to do it. She's not doing it because of me. She's not doing it because of kids. She's doing it because she's driven to do it. My question to you is, what are you driven to do? What is that thing that you're driven to do, that activity that you find yourself driven to do? That may be your gift. Question number 4. Okay, I can count. Question number 4. What are you doing? What are you doing when you're in the zone? What are you doing when you feel like you're in the zone? Let me explain that. When you're in the zone, it means that you're in an activity that you're fully engaged in. I mean, the time, you're so engaged in it that you lose track of time. I mean, you put your head down and you're working on that thing, and all of a sudden 5 hours has gone by. That is called being in the zone. You're focused in it. You're into it. You're just, it just takes your full attention. That activity that you're doing, that could very well be your gift. And I'm not talking about watching a long movie. That's hobbies. That's not you doing something. That's you really relaxing. When I talk about being in the zone, it's you're actually engaged in a certain activity. So maybe you're organizing something, or maybe you're teaching a certain subject, or maybe you're mediating a problem, solving a problem. Maybe you're tinkering with something. Maybe you're doing the traditional things that we call talent. And, you know, we have these traditional things we call talent, like a person can sing, a person can dance, a person can perform. But a talent or a gift is more than that. In fact, some gifts go unnoticed because of the fact that you can't see them. So we call them thinking talents, or we have feeling talents, or we have behavior talents. Behavior talents is what you can observe and see. In other words, you can feel it, taste it, touch it. They're singing. You can actually see that behavior. But when a person has a thinking talent, like an analytical talent, or like a creative thinking talent, you can't see that. Yet it's still a talent. And that's why most people miss their talent, because it can't be seen. It's not what most people will consider a talent, but yet it is a talent or a feeling talent. You have empathy for people. I mean, it just flows naturally. It oozes out of you, where nobody has to teach you to be empathetic. You have that. That's a feeling talent. And so you feel what people's pains are. And you know when somebody is feeling bad, and you want to automatically or naturally help them. That's called a feeling talent. So again, it's about, what are you driven to do? It's also about that zone that you get in. So that could be anything. Now, Jesus is that's seen in the scriptures. Jesus was one day, he was teaching a group of people, and he was teaching them for, the Bible says, about 3 days. 3 days he was having this meeting, that they stayed with him in the wilderness. And he was obviously in the zone, because they started to figure out after 3 days that we're hungry. And I'm like, you in 3 days? Now, I don't know if they ate in the middle or anything like that. The Bible doesn't tell us. But for him to be teaching these people for 3 days in the wilderness, you can tell he was in his zone. He was in his zone. And after that, the disciples tried to get them to leave, the crowd to leave. But, Jesus said, hey, I've been with these guys for 3 days. I might as well feed them. That's the least we can do, right? So he feeds them, right? He feeds them with the 5 loaves and with the two fish and 5 loaves, and he feeds the 5,000 or more. And that's called being in the zone. Question to you: when are you in the zone? When do you find yourself in the zone? Because that is a key to discovering what your gift is. Now, these questions, as you ask yourself these questions, and I want you to write them down, and I want you to go back and think about these things and ponder these things, and find the people that are in your lives and ask them to tell you, because they may be able to help you. Sometimes, as Les Brown would say, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. So sometimes you have to go outside of yourself to ask people who know you and love you and support you to share with you what they see in your life. What are your gifts? What are your talents? And the last last question that you want to ask yourself to figure this out is, what activity satisfies your soul? That's right. What activities satisfy your soul? What do I mean? When you do this thing, you are fulfilled. You are fulfilled. You know, the disciples walked upon Jesus and they looked at him. He was talking to a woman by the well, and they went to get him lunch. Anyway, they said, you know, Master, eat. Are you not hungry? And he looks at them and he says to them, my meat is to do the will of the Father. Whoa. My meat is to do the will of the Father. That is powerful, because what he was saying was, that which fulfills me is when I am doing what I was born to do. That which fulfills me is when I am fulfilling my calling. That which fulfills me is when I am displaying and using the gifts and the talents that I was born with. And that's what it is for you. When you find yourself doing something that literally satisfies your soul, literally fulfills you, that is a clue to the fact that you are using your gift. And you will say stuff like this: when can I do that again? When am I ever going to get a chance? I look forward to doing that again. If that's you and that activity, that is a gift for you. And here's what I say to you. As you discover your gifts, as I say, question number one, what are you good at and enjoy doing? At the same time, number two, what flows out of you naturally? Number three, what do you have an inner drive to do? Number four, when do you find yourself in a certain zone? What do you do when you find yourself in a zone? And number five, what activity satisfies your soul? If you can find the answers to these 5 questions, you're on your way to discovering your gift. And here's my encouragement to you. Don't just exist. Don't go through this life not knowing what your gifts are or talents are or ability. Take the time to assess yourself. Take the time to see what you have going on the inside of you. Because what you have going on the inside of you is greater than what's on the outside of you. What you have on the inside of you, your gifts and your talents, are God's gifts to you so that you can give these gifts to the world. Remember this, your gift is never for you. Your gift is to serve and to solve the problem of others for the glory of God. And I leave you with this. Discover your calling. Use your gift and make an impact in the world starting today. Thank you.